So, have you ever been somewhere that just feels wrong? Deep down in your bones? Some places are just so soaked in tragedy, so layered with dark history, that it's like the past has literally stayed in the ground. Well, today, we're going to dive into some of the most unsettling islands on the entire planet, places where the past absolutely refuses to stay buried.
And this quote, man, it just hits the nail on the head, right? We're not just talking about spooky stories you tell around a campfire. We're talking about real locations that have basically become monuments to human suffering, places that just won't let us forget what happened there.
All right, our first stop is a tiny island near Venice, Italy. It's a place with a reputation so dark, it's earned a nickname that'll send a chill right down your spine. Let's talk about Poveglia.
For centuries, this place has been called the Island of the Dead. And look, that isn't just some spooky name cooked up for tourists. No. This is a title that was earned through centuries of unimaginable pain. A history that started way, way before its most infamous chapter. The sheer scale of what happened here is it's staggering. When the Black Death was tearing through Europe, Poveglia became a quarantine station. But this wasn't a place you went to get better. Over 160,000 sick people were shipped here, dumped into massive pits, and in many cases just burned alive. The island literally became a mass grave. It's said that even today, about 50% of the soil is made up of human ash and bone. Just let that sink in.
And when you look back at its history, you see this really dark pattern. From its earliest days, Poveglia was always the place where you sent people you wanted to forget about, the unwanted. That role was, cemented during the plague, but the horror didn't stop there. In 1922, they decided to build a psychiatric hospital right on top of all that death.
And the story of the Asylum, this is where things go from tragic to pure horror movie territory. There was a doctor there who supposedly did these awful, twisted experiments on his patients. But the island's dark energy, well, it seemed to get to him. He started claiming he was haunted, that he could hear the screams of his tortured patients constantly. Eventually, he completely lost his mind, climbed the hospital's bell tower, and jumped.
This isn't just ancient history, The fear of this place is still very, very real today. The island is totally abandoned now, completely forbidden to visitors. And the local fishermen, they won't go anywhere near it. Seriously. They say if you cast your nets in those waters, you're not pulling up fish, you're pulling up human bones.
Okay, let's take a deep breath and shift gears. We're journeying now from a place of mass tragedy to a horror that is, well, it's way more personal. And frankly, incredibly bizarre. We're headed to the canals outside Mexico City, to a place born from one man's grief and a 50-year obsession. Isla de las Muñecas. In English, the Island of the Dolls. I want you to just picture this for a second. You're floating down a quiet, peaceful canal, and then you see it. An entire island where thousands of old, decaying dolls are hanging from every single tree, every wall. It is an absolutely surreal and deeply terrifying sight.
And I mean, yeah, look at this. These are not cute, pristine dolls from a collector's shelf. They are filthy, they're broken, they're weather-beaten. So many of them are missing eyes or have broken limbs, and they just hang there, staring out with these empty, hollow expressions. So, the big question is, how on earth did they all get here?
The story all comes down to one man, Don Julian Santana. He claimed that after he moved to the island, he found the body of a young girl who had drowned in the canal. He became convinced her spirit was haunting him, so he started collecting dolls from the trash and hanging them up to appease her ghost. And he didn't do this for a week or a year, he did this for 50 years. But the story has one last chilling twist. In 2001, they found Don Julian's body, drowned, in the exact same spot he said he found the little girl.
So as you can probably imagine, a whole mythology has just exploded around this place. Locals and visitors swear that at night, the dolls come to life. They say their eyes follow you as you move, that you can hear them whispering to each other. The belief is that every single one of them is possessed by the spirit of that drowned girl. All right, for our final location, we're going way, way off the grid, to the most remote place yet. It's a place that on the surface looks like a slice of heaven, but it's known for shipwrecks, murder, and this palpable feeling of pure evil that seems to just radiate from the island itself. We're talking about Palmyra Atoll. It's basically a speck in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, totally uninhabited. You look at pictures, you see a tropical paradise.
But its history is anything but. For centuries, sailors have told stories about a strange curse on the island, a place where ships just wreck for no reason and people simply vanish.
And this isn't just old sailor superstition. In 1974, something happened that made it all terrifyingly real. A wealthy couple named the Grahams sailed to Palmyra on their yacht, the Sea Winds. And then they were never seen alive again. Later, their boat was found, but it turned out a fugitive who'd been hiding on the island had murdered them to steal it. That brutal crime just cemented the atoll's reputation for danger.
But here's where it gets even creepier. The fear of Palmyra goes beyond just specific crimes. People who've been there, scientists, military personnel, they all report something deeply unsettling about the atmosphere itself. A pervasive feeling of malevolence, an oppressive energy that they say can literally drive a person insane.
And what's so terrifying is how consistent all the reports are. It's always the same things. This crushing feeling of dread from the moment you arrive. The constant sensation of being watched or followed, even when you're completely alone. Seeing strange shadows darting at the edge of your vision. And just this overwhelming atmosphere of pure evil that is impossible to shake.
So, from the ashes of Poveglia to the vacant stairs on the Island of the Dolls and the unseen threat of Palmyra, we've seen how history, tragedy, and human actions can turn a physical place into a source of real, enduring fear. And it all kind of boils down to this one big question, doesn't it? Are these places truly possessed by spirits and curses? Or is the horror we feel just the echo of the very real, very human darkness that happened there? Maybe the most terrifying thing in the world isn't a ghost, but just the realization of what we're capable of and the marks we leave behind.